Welcome back to Hannity. We're in beautiful Binghamton, New York. Senator Ted Cruz is with us for the entire hour tonight. You know, Senator, one of the things that I really believe is scary, everybody in New York knows somebody, and if I did a show of hands, knows somebody that was killed on 9/11. Yeah. We had have a president that can't utter the words radical Islamic terrorism. Yeah. ISIS has taken over cities that we won, Ramadi and Fallujah and Mosul and Tikrit, and a president in denial. Right. How is this a generational battle? Does this go on forever? Or can we actually defeat ISIS, and how do you do it?
Well, you know, Heidi and I lost a friend of ours, Barbara Olson.
She was a friend of mine, too.
On 9/11, and she was in the plane that flew into the Pentagon. And we were living less than a mile from the Pentagon, where from our apartment, I mean, you could smell the soot. And Heidi at the time was working in the White House. And when those planes were coming in, at first the Secret Service came through and told everyone, stay where you are, don't go anywhere. But then, when the second plane hit, the Secret Service was running through the White House complex, and they were saying, get out now, don't walk, run. And so Heidi ran out. They wouldn't let her get her car. And so she wasn't able to drive home, so she took off her high heels and walked across the bridge and walked home barefoot. And I know there are people all across New York who experienced that. In D.C. and Pennsylvania and all across the country. We've had terror attack after terror attack after terror attack, most recently in America in San Bernardino. And in the wake of jihad, of radical Islamic terrorists who've declared their intention to murder as many of us as possible, I think there are a lot of Americans who are fed up with a president who follows every terror attack, going on TV, refusing to name our enemy, and instead lecturing us on Islamophobia.
And I'd even take it a step further. Then he talks about the terrible deeds done in the name of Christ and has no real historical knowledge of what the Crusades were really about. And after this last terror attack in Brussels, he's doing the wave with communist murdering dictator Raul Castro and doing the tango.
Yeah. Well, and it did seem to really inconvenience the president to have a terror attack when he was, in the middle of going to a baseball game with a communist dictator. And that, it shouldn't be, I'll tell you, and watching President Obama stand there on that stage with Raul Castro, while Castro slams the United States of America, and then listening to President Obama say, well, gosh, I agree with Castro. Is it asking too much to have a president actually defend the United States of America?
That was embarrassing.
It really was.
All right, but let me get back to ISIS.
Yeah.
Look, you used the phrasing, I criticized for it. Yeah. I actually agree with you. You said carpet bomb ISIS.
Yes.
You didn't say carpet bomb civilians. You said carpet bomb ISIS. And they're plotting and scheming and planning our demise. How do we find them and execute that?
Well, we start by using overwhelming air power. In the first Persian Gulf War, a little over 25 years ago, we launched roughly 1,100 air attacks a day. It was saturation, carpet bombing on the Iraqi army. We did that for 37 days. And after 37 days, our troops went in a day and a half, mopped up what was left. That is overwhelming air power.
Can we do that in Syria and Iraq?
We can. Now, right now, the Obama administration is launching between 15 and 30 air attacks a day. I mean, it's photo op and pinprick. It looks good on CNN, but it doesn't actually kill the enemy.
I don't watch CNN, but okay.
What we need to be doing instead is taking out their command and control, taking out their infrastructure, taking out their communication, taking out their finances, taking out the oil fields, taking out the oil refineries, and taking out their troops, utterly and completely destroying them. We need to combine that with arming the Kurds, who are boots on the ground. They're fighting right now.
It also goes to the heart and the issue of This president started with 10,000.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton wants tens and tens of thousands of Syrian refugees. Here's the problem. You know, our Obama's former envoy to defeat ISIS, General John Allen, our National Intelligence Director, James Clapper, James Comey, our FBI Director, our Assistant FBI Director, and our Chairman of our House Homeland Security Committee have all said that ISIS, just like they did in Paris and Brussels, will infiltrate the Syrian population. How do we ascertain if they're good people that want a better life or if they are ISIS? How do you do that?
We can't, and that's what, you know, ISIS has told us they intend to infiltrate those refugees. The Paris terror attacks, they infiltrated those refugees. James Comey, the head of the FBI, appointed by Obama, told Congress that he cannot vet these Syrian Muslim refugees to determine if they're ISIS terrorists. If I'm elected president, we are not going to be letting in Middle Eastern Muslim refugees who may be infiltrated with terrorism.
Now, to those on the left that say, no, but Hillary Clinton has been out there in force saying, oh, that's unfair. I would support helping the Syrian refugees that are victims of a civil war.
Sure.
But can't we have a safe haven in their own country and provide food and medicine and blankets and cots and supplies?
And no nation on earth has been more generous giving aid to the refugees. We give more than 10 times as much as any nation on earth in terms of providing money, taxpayer money, to care for these refugees. But if these refugees may be infiltrated with terrorists, they should be resettled in the Middle East and majority Muslim countries where they can't wage jihad against America.
Is there a deeper issue here? For example, if somebody grows up under Sharia law and they want to come to America, but they grew up where they get to tell women, by the way, good luck telling New York women this, how to dress. They get to tell women they can't drive. They tell women that they can't be seen in public without a male relative. They decide, a male will decide if a woman goes to work or school. If, in the case of a rape, under Sharia in many countries, a woman needs 4 male eyewitnesses. Now, I talk about a cultural divide that most people don't want to discuss. Is there a cultural divide, people who grow up under Sharia and want, how do we know if they want to come here because they want to find freedom and leave that behind, or if they want to bring it with them? Great Britain has 88 Sharia courts right now.
Well, look, as you know, there is a difference between Islam and Islamism. Islamism is a theocratic and political philosophy that commands its adherents to wage jihad, to either murder or forcibly convert the infidels, by which they mean all of the rest of us, and force us to live under Sharia law.
Isn't that Saudi Arabia? Isn't that Iran? Except different, one is Sunni, one is Shia?
It is certainly the government of Iran. And the Ayatollah Khamenei is Islamist and seeks to impose that vision on the rest of the world. The government of Saudi Arabia has been too willing to fund Islamist strains that the House of Saud itself isn't directly doing it, but many of the Islamist strains, including obviously Osama bin Laden, originated with the Saudis, and there was too much Saudi money behind it.
Grew up in that culture where that is the law of the land. I just don't know, it's so incompatible with our constitutional values.
Well, we've got to have a president that, first of all, just speaks the truth, says enough with political correctness, let's speak the truth.
Last question, exit question. Do you know what's in the 28 redacted pages of the 9/11 report?
I have reviewed those pages, and I believe they should be made public.
Can you give us some insight into what's in them?
I can't without violating laws on classification, so I'm not allowed to do that without violating the law.
Wait, no. I promised the senator that if he reveals it, I will bring him a cake with a file. No, I'm kidding. All right.